Louis, thank you very much for doing this.
Pleasure.
Brilliant. We're in the thick of it here now, so thanks for taking time out of the day. So, as I said, we've got what we got? Irish icons: Michael Collins, Molly Malone, Louis Copeland.
Yeah,
we're in here, so we're in the.
Thank you for that.
We're in the presence of greatness. Thanks a mil for that. So. This is your flagship store, yeah?
Yeah, this is where was kind of Cape Street, where like the family started. So my father was down the road. Actually, was the shop, but this was actually the bank, and we bought the bank about 25 years ago.
Oh, nice.
So it's nice to kind of buy the bank, and we changed it around.
Buy the bank, yeah. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, I tell you, after my checkered past with banks, I'd love to buy one just to say, look at me now,
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the game? You said your father started.
Well, my grandfather, was a tailor, and he was Jewish. He came over from Lithuania. He was on the boat. Thought he was going to New York, but ended up in Cork. And then he was a tailor, and he met my grandmother, who was Catholic, and he turned Catholic, and he had my father and my aunt. So my father was a tailor cutter, and my aunt was a trouser maker, and that was kind of Cape Street where they lived, actually. So and we're in Cape Street at the moment.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
that's good stuff. So the name Louis Copeland. Are you the first Louis? Was the grandfather?
No, my grandfather was Hyman Copeland.
Oh, because it's not a Lithuanian name, Copeland,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, and then my father was Louis Copeland, so.
Right,
so
brilliant.
Then I have a son called Louis Copeland.
Louis the
He's
third.
kind of running the business now, and he would be based here. He'd be based he's based more on the online business. Brilliant. And then I have a grandson called Louis, so
Louis the fourth.
Yeah. So
that's great. Yeah, I'm the fourth Joe Doyle in a row. I am.
Are you okay?
Yeah, so I'm working on the fifth one now. Yeah,
Okay.
But no, it's great to see it. So, who made the business the icon that it is? Is it you or your father?
No, my father made
you have
the
to give him
business
credit to that, though. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's the one that kind of, I mean, he would have, he started the business, and he would have kind of got the name out there.
And is this the only game you've been in all your life?
Yeah, I mean, like I left school when I was 14, went to technical school for 2 years, and then I worked in a factory up in Thomas Street called the Two Owls, John Byrne and Co. And I was an apprentice tailor, and I learned my trade, and I think about it like, I mean, 50 years ago? Yeah, more than 50 years ago, you had to be in 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, 8 o'clock in the morning is like 6 o'clock in the morning now. I mean, 8 o'clock in the morning was early,
yeah,
but it's not early now.
Yeah.
But I mean, those days you had to kind of, in the factory, you had to clock in at before 8, right? Get your card,
yeah,
clock it in. And if you weren't in before 8 o'clock, if you were 8:05, you had to wait outside till 9 o'clock and get your hour stopped on you.
Right.
Because if you're 5 minutes late, you couldn't go in. You had to wait outside
to the next hour.
You could be out in the rain, standing outside. So that's kind of major for future. Like, I mean, you made sure to be there on time.
On time.
Yeah,
brilliant.
It's a good lesson.
Yeah, so you'd be very punctual, would you?
I'd be punctual, yeah.
You'd have to be, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I suppose the whole formal suit, punctual, looking sharp, looking crisp, So you were up there doing your apprenticeship.
Yeah,
in Thomas Street.
In Thomas Street,
out in the rain at 8:05. Probably only once, yeah.
But you don't be late. You just make sure to be there in time.
Yeah.
And then I came and worked with my father, and we started, like, I worked in the workshop, and kind of, so I'm a tailor cutter, kind of, so I know what's underneath the bonnet, let's say, of a suit. So
right.
I've gone, a lot of people today wouldn't know how a suit is put together, or the inside, the interlinings and whatever. So I'd be well versed in that.
Would you see a picture now of a fella, either the newspaper, even on the telly, saying, "Jeez, that suit looks terrible on him. It needs to come in here." Would you be a critique of that?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's looking for a suit, like, they should go to a professional, like, knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure with your tradesmen, like, they have to know what they're doing. They look at something, they know, whether it be a plumber, a carpenter, they have the eye.
Yeah. definitely. And what would you say is the okay? So this is called education for life.
Yeah. Okay.
And the reason for this is we want to. If I can leave here with one nugget from a man that's been in the business and made a business iconic, or even which is probably more difficult than making a business iconic. If you said the father done it, was keeping it. That name. So if we can leave one nugget from that, so what would you say has allowed the business to stand the test of time?
I think you've got to you change all the time. I mean,
Really?
I mean, look, when I say change, I mean, kind of nothing lasts, forever. Like, I mean, you've got to keep innovating, kind of get your name out there, and join kind of associations that with a group of people that are like-minded, and kind of pick up the nuggets from them.
So second generation in dealing with COVID, all these different things. What was what would be say? What was the most challenging time for yourself through the business?
Well, I mean, like the uncertainty, what's going to happen? I mean, thank God. I mean, did we see we get through this year? And thank God we did. And I think I have to kind of praise the government for all the the subsidies and the rates kind of, and the banks kind of giving kind of holidays and whatever. I think the government did a great job, I have to say, with the subsidies. I mean, it was able to kind of small business able to continue on.
Yeah. I think whatever your opinion is on how they handle the actual dealing of the pandemic from the business perspective.
Yeah, no,
there was no shortage of support there.
Great.
And the response for them.
Yeah,
it was good. I remember reading.
It was so quick. I mean, I mean, the minutes this came in, they were right in. Yeah. And brilliant job. I have to say, Pascal O'Donoghue, I think he did a brilliant job.
It just goes to show what can be done. Once we all pull together in the one direction, isn't it? It's great stuff, So, do you see us going exclusively online, or just more online? Or?
No, I mean, obviously the online is important, and I mean, it's been great for us. I mean, it's been a survival for us, and I think it's not going to continue the way it has been the last couple of months. But I think we've opened up a lot of business to people that would never have come into Louis Copeland, and I mean, it's got our name out there. That we if you think of Louis Copeland, you think of suits, and you think of kind of celebrities, or whatever. But I mean, our main business is just kind of carpenters, plumbers, kind of business people, kind of entrepreneurs, kind of to get dressed up. And obviously, okay, they're not all wearing suits now, so we had to adapt, we had to change. So change.
Yes, so it's a constant change and
it's
adaptation.
Constant change all the time, and adaptation. It's a bit like fashions. I mean, the way kind of suits were, 20 years ago they were big wide shoulders, but now they're real narrow and kind of slim trousers, and it kind of changes all the time. The fashions change back and forward all the time.
Yeah. So would you have to stay ahead of that? You nearly have to.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you've got to go. I mean, it's very important for people to go to trade shows. I'd go to all the different trade shows. I mean, initially, for instance, Florence is the big one. The 2 a year, but you go to the trade show, you go to all the stands. I mean, and it's not so much what you see on the stands; it's meeting people on the aisles, kind of people in your business that they wouldn't be your competition, but they'd be in different countries, so you'd learn kind of so much off them. So it's important to get out there and meet people.
Yeah, keeps you sharp.
Yeah, I'm in an association now. It's called the IMG, International Menswear Group, where we have one retailer from each country. And it's fairly exclusive. I mean, we're the Irish member. They'd be an English member. They'd be an American. They'd be German. And we didn't meet this year, but hopefully we might meet next year. But I mean, what we did, we all put our financials, all our figures, all our ideas together, and we meet for a week. And we have about 3 days kind of social, and then 3 days kind of meetings, kind of structured meetings as to we all have our books are all open, and it doesn't matter whether you're a small retailer or a huge retailer. I mean, like, you know, it's all percentages, and you can benchmark each other off each other. So, and you know, you're sitting around the table, and nobody's in competition with each other, and we just learn from each other.
That's great.
It's a bit like your association, like, I mean, where you've got all the brains together, and you're kind of you're getting little nuggets from everybody.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's actually refreshing to hear, you know, someone that's at the top of their game.
Yeah.
And you're talking about change, adaptation, learning from others, as opposed to saying, this is
you're
me,
learning
this is
all
how
the
I do
time.
it. Yeah, and that will never stop.
No.
In your game.
No.
You know, it's good to hear that, because I think sometimes people they put the blinkers on.
Yeah. And they think they know everything, but they don't.
Yeah. For sure, that's the only thing we need to know is we know nothing. Yeah. And stay that way. You know. Yeah. How do you manage to attract, like, how can we build a brand? When I say we, how can anybody build a brand? What would you say is build a brand?
It's all about service.
Right. Yeah.
Three lessons: service. You get somebody in, treat them as you'd like to have them treat you. You know, you go into a store or whatever. Like, I mean, you'd like to be treated kind of, you know, treated right and give good service, and you know, I mean, it's like I have to say, one of the people that I've admired all through my life, like the retailer, was Fergal Quinn of Super Quinn. I mean, you know, when you think of Fergal Quinn, I mean, he wrote a book one time. It's called the boomerang system, where, you know, you throw it out and it comes back.
Right. So whatever you put out comes back to you.
Yeah, I mean, get the customer back.
Yes.
You know, make sure you look after that customer that day, that, you know, he's going to go back and he's going to recommend you to somebody else. Referrals.
Yeah, referrals. So
I mean, that's what business is all about, is referrals.
Sure,
you know, a bit like a restaurant. If you go to a restaurant and it's good, I mean, you're going to refer people to them.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, like in my limited knowledge of the tailor world and the retail world.
I know it's by looking at you.
I do, yeah.
We'll have to get you and dress you up.
I appreciate that, man. I'll take you up on that offer. But in the limited knowledge, there doesn't seem to be anybody who's doing what you've done. Like, you know, you're the name over the door. You come in, you're the man here.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot to be said that you couldn't go and, you know, get taken care of by the main man.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's all about kind of training your staff. I mean, you know, we would kind of we'd have a meeting every Saturday morning. We'd have all the staff, and we just put all our ideas together. So it's all about kind of, you know, learning from each other. It's all about teamwork. It's all about kind of, it's a bit like the Dubs. I mean, you know, they just don't turn up on the day of the match and kind of get out and think they're going to win. I mean, you know, it's all about training.
Yes, for sure. So would you be constantly training the staff then?
Yeah, constantly training all the time, and people would be mirroring people like me. You know, I mean, you get a kind of a young salesman then, and we wouldn't let them kind of sell at the start, but they'd mirror us. You know what I mean? They'd look at what we're doing, and, you know, and that's the way we train people.
Can we talk about that just for a little sec? Yeah. So you're saying once a week there's a staff
Once
meeting, which is effectively a training
a week now, we'd have a meeting every Saturday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'd sit around the table, have a cup of tea, and just throw out ideas, and, you know, what do we do this week, and how can we do it better next week, and what ideas, have any fresh ideas as to, you know, how we're going to increase the business. I mean, you know, and a lot of things come out like that, you know.
Right, and would you be analysing what happened in the week?
Yeah, we'd look at the figures and see what we did, and why didn't we sell more sweaters, and why didn't we sell more jeans or whatever. Right, like, I mean, you know, kind of how do you kind of display them and merchandise them, and, you know, it's all about, and you know, I mean, you learn by talking.
So how do you get somebody to buy when they've come in the door? So I'd imagine there's two things you need to do. Number one, to get them in, and then when they're in, you need to get them to buy, and then you get them to buy. How do you get them to buy without feel like they're being sold to?
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of our business is a repeat business, so people, you know, they trust you, you know, and, you know, I mean, you're only as good as your last sale, you know. I mean, you know, if you get somebody in and you give them the wrong size, or the fabric that doesn't suit them, or it doesn't, you know, I mean, you can sell anything to anybody once, but it's to get back the second time. A bit like a plumber or a carpenter. You can do a job, and then, you know, 3 months later the it's still dripping the tap, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, you're not going to call that plumber back.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, so when you do the job, make sure you do it properly.
Brilliant, and that's it. Just get them in.
And follow up calls. You know what I mean? In your business, I mean, you know, what the people you're talking to, I mean, it's probably an idea. Like, I mean, if they do a job, whether it be a plumber, a carpenter, or a bricklayer, or whatever, you know, pick up the phone and say to the customer, you know, Joe here. Like, I mean, I did your kind of tap or whatever, or your woodwork, whatever. Is everything okay? You know, well, the fella might say, you know what? Well, you know what? There's still a little drip over that. Like, I mean, and you know, where he couldn't fix it, where the customer couldn't fix it, the plumber can kind of look. 5 minutes will just adjust that little screw, and because you know, little things like that will annoy people.
Yeah. Not annoy them as much to get onto you and get it fixed, but annoy them to be niggling.
But I mean, but if the plumber rings the customer and said, "Listen, you know, is everything okay?" At least kind of you have a chance of being able to satisfy that customer.
Yeah.
And then that person will recommend you to somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. And would you be now doing follow-ups?
We do follow-up calls. Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of follow-up calls now on the online just to make sure they got the stuff, and you know.
Was it a bit daunting? You were a fairly hands-on guy. Was it a bit daunting? You're putting your trust in the system rather than...
No, but I mean, like, I mean, you obviously train your people properly, and, you know, but it's nice to get that follow-up call, kind of say, was everything okay?
The man himself rang
and then you might get someone, well, no, I wasn't happy. And then you're able to do something about it and kind of, you know, well, I'd got the wrong size or the wrong colour came in. At least you're able to kind of... instead of him kind of talking about you, complaining about you, you know, you can nip her in the bud.
Brilliant, yeah. How do you manage to keep the... So I feel that once people are dealing with that brand, with your brand, they're comfortable. So how many stores do you have now? 4, is it?
7, actually.
7.
Yeah.
So how do you manage to keep that consistency across the board?
Kind of been on top of it all the time. I mean, you know, I mean, as I say, young Louis, my son, and my brother is in Pembroke Street, and his son is there as well. So we all work as a team. I mean, it's kind of it's communication all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't have the issues with drop-offs, with dilution of your brand because you've expanded a bit.
No, because you keep on top of it all the time. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and generally the staff that work here, you know, I always say that the staff that work here, they never leave. They just if they're leaving, they leave in the box.
All right. So you don't need to pay them redundancy, Randy. Yeah. I don't know what happens if a staff member dies. You have to pay them redundancy then. So you've managed to keep.
Yeah, I mean, most of the staff here would be here for years and years and years.
Oh, that's great. That's
good. So we don't get very little turnover of staff. Right, and that's always a good sign.
I think so.
If you go into a store, you go into a restaurant, you go to a hotel, if the same staff is there, that's you know, if you have a happy staff, you know, you'll have a good business.
Yeah, I do believe.
One of the retailers that I told you in that group, I mean, the International Menswear Group, he's written a couple of books. It's called Hug Your Customer.
Hug your customer.
Hug your customer.
We'll take a note of that.
Be nice to people. Hug your customer.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we get young people in, and they're looking, and I say, what do you want the suit for? And it's probably an interview suit. And we always say to them, listen, if you get the suit here, we guarantee the job. If you don't get the job, we get your money back. Right?
Brilliant. Okay.
So, you know, like, I mean, the amount of times young lads have come back and said, geez, you're right about the suit, you know, I got the job. But, you know, little things like that in their head, like, I mean, you know, they put the suit on, the shoulders go back, the head goes back. They feel confident, you know. So, you know, it's just one more little thing to give a fella confidence when he goes for the interview.
Yeah, brilliant. That's a powerful thing to say, you know.
And the second book we wrote was Hug Your People. In other words, hug your staff.
Very good. Yeah.
Because if you know, when you go into a store or a restaurant or whatever, and if the staff are not happy, you know, people can sense that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they don't have to say anything. You can just
you just people know that they just sense kind of, you know, if there's a problem if staff are not happy in a place, customers can sense that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, you know, you've been in the game 50 years, right? Apart from the online stuff, you know, and the technology, what differences have you noticed in people, or have you noticed different trends in how people shop and how they behave down through the years?
Yeah, obviously, like, I mean, it's changing all the time, but now, like, I mean, it's very much people are shopping online. People are, it's very important to have really important to have a great website. I mean, because people, especially younger people, they're more techie orientated, so they're looking at websites and kind of, they're getting their information on websites. So you've got to be up to date with social media as well. Yes. So that's not my cup of tea, but we have people doing that for us. So social media is very important.
I was walking around the shop there earlier on this morning, and there's awards dripping off the mantelpiece over there, and photographs of all the celebrities. How do you manage to attract so many big names into the store?
Yeah, and it's just kind of experience. I mean, over the years, I mean, people say, like, Louis, how do you get the publicity? And I said, well, people think that if you ring a journalist up, that that if you ring him once, that you're going to get the story in the paper. No, you've got to ring maybe 25 times to get one mention. Right. So you've got to keep your ear to the radio all the time. If there's something on the radio going on, like, I mean, in your business, I mean, I'm on top of it.
Right. So if you hear something that's in your space,
that's controversial. I get on the onto the radio and kind of give my. No, I mightn't always get on, but I mean, if you try 20 times, you might get on once.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that's good. So it's actually, that's very nice to hear.
It
where you're
happen,
at now, you still push, like.
Yeah. I mean, every day, like, I mean, you keep on working.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think you were the first man here this morning, were you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But I mean, but I know it's an old cliche, but I mean, if you enjoy your work, you never have to work a day in your life.
Yes. So you're in your element here.
Yeah. It's great because you're meeting people, different people, all walks of life. So, I mean, it's like entertainment. I mean,
Entertainment for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Louis show.
Yeah.
Go in and see what's on.
It's a bit like, as you say, carpenter or plumber or whatever people that you're dealing with. I mean, they're going to different people's houses. They're meeting different people. So, like, it's, they're not stuck in an office kind of, just seeing the same people all day.
Yeah, looking at the same.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're decent people.
No, and they might give out when they have to work late and kind of like, but so what?
Yeah, so what? Get on with
it.
Yeah. So what is the ultimate goal for the Louis Copeland brand? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal is to kind of keep the name out there and keep on giving the service and, but it kind of comes natural to you if you're used to kind of giving the service. So, right. And I think kind of in business, like very important training.
Right, you've mentioned that a few times now.
Yeah.
So, but you've also mentioned your staff are here.
I say it again,
right?
Training. Right. The three most important things in business is number 1, service, number 2, service, and number 3, service.
Brilliant. It's interesting to hear, because if you put that with the fact that you said their staff are here for years.
Yeah.
But you're training them all the time.
Yeah.
It's not as if I've done that. It's a constant thing, you know.
It's constant. You have to keep up with the trends and keep up with the information.
Brilliant, yeah. So would you plan on opening more stores, or?
Not really. No, not for the foreseeable future. I think kind of the growth will be in online. I think that's what it's going to grow. I do a fair bit in the property space, and people say to me, would you not go for commercial property because you don't have tenants ripping you for the drip and tap? I think it's important. Stick to the game,
Yes.
Stick to the knitting.
Stick to the knitting.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Nobody can compete with you then.
No, but if you specialise in something, just stay at it.
Yeah. But
as you say, if you kind of do houses, don't go into commercial.
That's what I'd be very nervous going into commercial, because when you hear, companies shutting down this and that.
Yeah, but you think about would you invest in offices now? But people are saying, they're going to work from home now.
Yeah.
So maybe the business today, if we're giving you kind of an idea, right?
Yeah, go on, tell me, I'm learning.
People are kind of working from home, so kind of maybe the idea is to kind of build a kind of a room with kind of people that can work in a nice, comfortable environment.
Yeah, office fit outs type of thing. Yeah. Geez, but as you say that now, I'd say there's going to be an abundance of office units around.
But I do
that
think
could be shifted into something else.
I do think, I know people are saying they love working home, but I'm getting the message now that people are not fully, like, I mean, it was kind of a novelty at the start, but I think people want to come back now into getting back into the office because they miss the camaraderie, they miss the kind of meeting people, and, you know, and like, it's important to meet people and talk to people. That's where you get the idea. You don't necessarily get it from Zoom.
Yeah, there's that disconnect, isn't there, when you're using technology? You can't like this. You can't be just sitting down on a 2 meter table and talking face to face.
You've got to see the colour of the fella's eyes.
Yes, I hear people
and
saying that.
You've got to see the reaction. And you can't get that on technology.
Yeah, for sure, yeah, definitely. Yeah. But now, good stuff. So, right, COVID and all that sort of stuff, mad time for you, or did you?
Yeah, I mean, like the first lockdown, like, I mean, everybody didn't know where to run or whatever. You know, you were running to hide Karl. What were you going to do? So, you know, the shops were closed, no income coming in, rents to pay, staff to pay. What did we do? So we took the decision, right, let's do kind of, we were online up to this, so we kind of, we had already got the online going, so it wasn't a big jump to kind of, you know, we weren't just starting an online store. Yeah. So what we did, we decided to kind of cut all our prices by 40%, get money in, pay suppliers, pay the staff, negotiate with suppliers, try and get reduction off them. You know, I mean, you know, we didn't make any money, but I mean, we kept the shop open, we kept staff employed, and we were able to pay our suppliers, and that kept going, and the online business went sky high.
Brilliant.
As I said, we didn't make money, but I mean, we were able to pay our staff and pay our suppliers. So then came we opened up, business it was back about 50%, but I mean, at least the doors were open. Then the second lockdown came, and then we kind of knew what to do, so we had the online store, which was going well, and what we did was, anywhere within the Dublin area, we got our staff in the cars, and instead of kind of going through kind of post, we actually deliver the stuff by hand. So if you order something today, it was there the next day, or even that evening, maybe, you know. So that's been, you know, I mean, you learn as you go along. I mean, so kind of the COVID thing has opened up a few kind of opportunities for us. So, as I say, we on the online business, it's going very well. And as I say, we were delivering stuff by hand.
Was there less panic with the second lockdown because you kind of had figured it out on the first one?
Yeah, because you got to know all the mistakes you made. So, I mean, and then what we did was we said, okay, let's kind of get technology. So everybody was Zoom, and so people were, you know, a lot of people not everybody's working from home, but a lot of people working from home. Yeah. So we got on the Zoom train, and what we did was obviously we'd have customers, we'd have their measurements and whatever. So we started Zooming people. So, you know, on the phone. And obviously people that were used to Zoom and were able to Zoom them, and we got cameras, special cameras that we you know, it took us a while to kind of learn how to use them, but you know, but it came, and even we were able to do business with people in America and Canada and England, and you know, that would normally have come home for Christmas, that would normally have come into us, but we had them as, and we were able to kind of Zoom and kind of show them stuff, and you know, it's kind of
it's nice to hear that.
Up to our business, yeah. Obviously, the suit business, I mean, people are not wearing suits as much now as they did, because, you know, people are not going out or whatever. There's no weddings, there's no communions or confirmations or kind of functions. So, you know, suits have taken a little bit of a backseat, but I mean, so we've kind of gone like very much on the casual scene.
Right,
and Louis Copeland wouldn't be known for casual, but I mean, so you know, I mean, when one door closes, 10 open.
10 open, not just another one. Brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably one of the best book I think I've ever read in my life, and you know, I read it about 3 or 4 times a year, and it's called "Who Moved My Cheese," right? Brilliant. And if anybody out there wants to kind of, you know, learn. Go and buy that book.
Right, Who Moved? And you know, I have it at home. I'm going to read it again because it's a while since I read it. Who Moved My
Cheese book? So every time you read it, you get something different out of it.
And it's a short read.
It's only like, it'll take about an hour to read.
Yeah.
But you'll get so much out of it. So just read that book, and you'll get little kind of, and you know, every time you read it, you get something different out of it.
Yes, brilliant, good stuff. It's good to hear. Actually, you know what? I don't know if you know this, but you know Zoom that we're all using, that handy little thing. I read something that was worth more than all the airlines in America.
Really?
At the height of the share price of it, because everybody just went on it. But it's such a handy gig, you know. Extra stuff, Louis. Thank you for your time, my friend.
Pleasure.